Good morning, my dear students of Degree 1 English Honours. I got a request from a student, Aman Gupta, to post some relevant information about history of English literature. Well, in that connection, I would like to discuss with you all certain important features of Elizabethan drama. Elizabethan Age is a great age of English drama. It registers the emergence of a large number of dramatists and the publication of an equally large number of plays. Before Elizabethan drama, English language had only moralities and miracle plays, and to a certain extent, cheap interludes. These plays were not actually plays in the regular sense of the term. They were only sermons sought to be conveyed to people through dramatic performances. It was in the Elizabethan age that English drama not only established and asserted itself, but also attained a distinction and a glory of its own. Elizabethan age was most favorable for dramatic writings and performances. The renaissance of the revival of learning had made available to people the writings of ancient Greeks and Roman dramatists. Although in that age people read almost all classical dramatists, the greatest influence on Elizabethan mind and thinking was that of one Greek dramatist, namely Seneca. Seneca's works were translated and published in England between 1559 and 1581. Actually speaking, Seneca was not a dramatist. What he wrote was mostly the, an accumulation of rhetoric speeches. There was nothing of plot structure or character study in Seneca's writing. But he had described in his writings the violence and cruelty, the uncertainty and confusion of his own age in a very powerful manner. Elizabethan dramatists received two things from him, and these two things are the theme of violence and the rhetorical form of expression. Seneca is indeed one of the most powerful influences on Elizabethan dramatic writing. There are other powerful influences also, which may precisely be described as the influence of the court, of the people, and of the theatre companies. Queen Elizabeth was very kind and helpful to all writers of her age. She gave them financial help and moral encouragement because she wanted to exalt the position of her country in the field of literary activity. The Elizabethan people were enthusiastic, romantic, and adventurous sort, and they wanted both entertainment and education through literature. Drama was the best kind of literary means by which these could be given. The Elizabethan audience also gave ample encouragement to the dramatists, with the result that they wrote more and more plays. The last important factor which influenced dramatic writing in this age was the existence of a large number of theatre companies. Some of these companies enjoyed the sanction of the court, while others were just private companies which moved from place to place, putting performances before people. It was natural, therefore, that in such a literary atmosphere and climate, dramatic writing flourished in England to an extent that it became the pride and glory of the whole nation. The first tragedy which deserves mention in this connection is Gorboduc. It came to be written by two persons, namely Thomas Sackville and Thomas Norton. This tragic piece is Senecan in manner and deals with a theme of topical interest. Excuse me. It tells us something about the uncertainty relating to royal succession. It is written in blank verse, but of a very crude and heavy kind. The first two names which figure prominently in relation to English tragedies are those of Thomas Kidd and Christopher Marlowe. Only one play by Kidd, The Spanish Tragedy, has been available so far. It is a very proper tragedy because it is full of horrors and crime and the different motives of revenge. It is a well designed play. The character study is here neatly presented, and the situation in the play is theatrically effective. It stands written in blank verse, and it is here that, for the first time, blank verse has been converted into a useful medium of the theatre. Not much is known about Thomas Kidd himself. Marlowe, however, is a well known personality. He was a Cambridge man equipped with wide reading of several authors. He wrote four plays, namely Tamburlaine, Dr. Faustus, The Jew of Malta, and Edward II. In his tragedies, we find a wonderful display of the dramatic imagination. The plots of his dramas are full of cruelty and violence and are well presented. His character sketches are superb. His dramas have political, moral, and religious significance. But his greatest contribution to English dramatic writing lies in his manipulation of blank verse. Marlowe's blank verse is called mighty because, besides being expressive of certain kinds of feelings and emotions, it is also rhetorical. It is at this time that a regular drama in Elizabethan age came to be It is at this time that a regular drama in Elizabethan age came to be written. John Lilly wrote a large number of comedies. Some of his important comedies are Sappho and How, Galatea, Endymion, Love's Metamorphosis, and The Women in the Moon. Except The Women in the Moon, which is written in verse, all other plays are written in prose. In his comedies, Lilly elaborates mythological themes and fine sentiments. They are generally addressed to the court and are remarkable for their romantic atmosphere and inventiveness. Robert Greene wrote two comedies, namely Friar Bacon and Friar Benger, and James the Fourth. These plays are not as remarkable as those of Lilly, although in them we do find a dreamlike quality and an atmosphere of romance. Next important dramatist in this very chain is George Peele. His comedies, Arraignment of Paris and David and Bathsheba, are remarkable English comedies. The theme in his plays is generally mythological. As a dramatist, Peele doesn't have much sense of design or discrimination, but the absence of this sense is more than compensated by his lyrical talent and his art of decorating plays. Well, now after this, an important personality enters into the scene of drama. It is at this point that Shakespeare emerges on the scene. Shakespeare wrote both tragedies and comedies, romances and history plays. As for example, Hamlet and Macbeth, the tragedies, As You Like It and Twelfth Night, the comedies, A Midsummer's Night Dream, a romance, and Henry IV, a history play. In his history plays, he presents to us the scenes of cruelty and violence. In his comedies, he gives us an intelligent, comic view of life. while in his tragedies he tells us about the profound and fundamental aspects of human existence. His blank verse has a kind of flexibility and beauty which is simply enchanting. Some of his plays, especially tragedies, are full of images which have great bearing on the themes of his plays. Shakespeare was a superb artist which he very well knew how to create the right kind of atmosphere in his plays. Elizabethan drama is partly romantic, partly realistic, and partly fantastic. At one point, it transports us into the land of dreams and flowers, while at another time, it brings face to face with the grim reality of life. It is both interesting and educative, but whatever it is, it constitutes a mighty contribution to English dramatic writing. Hope, my dear students, you will focus on this lecture and try to understand what Elizabethan drama means. And as we all know, that Elizabethan drama is a very important feature of history of English literature. Well, my next lecture would be on Victorian novels. Thank you very much for giving patient listening to this important lecture, Elizabethan drama. Hope the features of Elizabethan drama you will be able to digest if you listen to this lecture again and again. Thank you so much.